Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Acupuncture is My Life. Now, in this episode, I want to talk about some life-changing effects of drinking a gallon of water every day. Now, I'm bringing up this topic because so many of you have gotten back to me on the Acupuncture is My Life app, and if you don't already own it, download it. It's free. It's many benefits to having it. About drinking room temperature water. And some of you have gone above and beyond to average out to about a gallon a day. Now, there have been those of you who've had issues with it, and I can understand that. Like, for instance, if you're 4'11" or 5'1" and you're doing a gallon, that's a little too much. Especially if you're just leading a sedentary lifestyle. You're just sitting. And you have to understand why I say it's imperative to make acupuncture a part of your life. I mean, you see a physician on an annual basis for regular checkups, so forth and so on. But make sure you include regular wellness visits with an acupuncturist. That is super, super, super important. It's important that you do so. Okay, because for some individuals, drinking a gallon of water every day is not necessarily good. You would look at, on average, right? I would say 124 ounces for men on average and 92 ounces for women on average. You really want to look at water relative to your body weight, but it's also important that you sit with an acupuncturist and discuss this. You know, the shocking thing to many individuals is upwards of around 44% of adults globally drink less than 24 ounces of water a day. That's not good. And you would figure, and somewhere around 8% globally don't drink any water. Now that's dangerous. Okay? But back to the individual who'd wanted me to bring up her name, which I choose not to. She's from Italy, though. Doing a gallon of water a day, you have an office job, and you don't exercise, and you're 5'1", I don't recommend that. But I'm glad that you decided to sit with an acupuncturist. There's so many benefits to drinking water, you know. One, I've heard from many individuals, including patients, you feel less bloated. Why? Because water is great for your digestive system. It gets things moving down there. It helps with the processing aspect of things. And you see, the spleen, to an acupuncturist, not to a physician, two different functions. But the spleen and stomach represents your core to an acupuncturist. And the spleen is responsible for the transformation and transportation of fluids and food essences throughout the body. So, given enough water, the digestive process is even more optimal. I mean, everything goes great. Because for one, if you don't drink enough water, you're going to become constipated, which to an acupuncturist, that's considered a form of chi stagnation. And we'd have to find out why. And it's not always due to the fact that you're not drinking enough water. It could be due to something else. But you want to get enough water into your system on a daily basis. And an acupuncturist would give you his or her recommendation after your initial visit. But to go through the day feeling less bloated is a great feeling for many individuals internationally. Now, here's another key. And this individual, we were going back and forth over the app in the messaging center. And this person had stated or asked, why were they developing headaches? I thought you only get a headache from being dehydrated. Now, listen to this. You can get a headache from drinking too much water. You ever remember me saying every now and then too much of anything is no good? Now, why could that be? Because you can put yourself at risk of hyponatremia. And now, hyponatremia tends to happen when the body's sodium level is too low. Why? Because you're flushing it out. This happens when you're constantly drinking water and your body is holding much of it. And when that happens, the sodium in your body can become diluted. And one of the symptoms of hyponatremia is headaches. Other side effects of drinking too much water can be fatigue, nausea, confusion. That can play a part. It can. You see, drinking too much water and the effect, the imbalance that it creates relative to electrolytes in your body. Again, let's go back to yin and yang. It's all about yin and yang being in balance. So if you're consuming that yin, then what is the yang relative to the yin in which you're consuming? And this is why it's important you sit with an acupuncturist, because he or she will explain that to you and discuss how to get things back in balance, the way in which it should be. Now, many of you will constantly complain about going to the bathroom a lot. You see, those constant trips to the bathroom can annoy many individuals, especially when you're dealing with a busy day. And, outside of that, drinking too much water, again, like I said, too much of anything is no good, places a lot of stress on your kidneys. And it really can make it hard for your kidneys to get rid of excess water, which can lead to certain side effects. Because you see, your body produces urine to get rid of excess waste and water that it doesn't need. So your kidneys, your ureters, bladder, and urethra, it's all involved in this process of producing urine. So keep in mind, the kidneys do pretty much the heavy work here. They filter all the waste from your blood, helping you flush it all out. And the kidneys also take out extra water from the blood to keep the balance between, or rather I should say, of electrolytes in its correct spot. And what's the key word here? Balance, which is super, super important. And I'm noticing that more and more individuals are understanding more as to why I speak of balance between yin and yang, which is super important. Very, very important. Now, this individual from Italy had stated that they'd noticed they began craving more water. And this usually happens during the first few weeks when you really start increasing your water intake. And you'll notice periodically when time goes by and you haven't had water, you want water. And that's actually, it can be a good thing. It can be a good thing. But you know what's awesome about getting enough water in on a daily basis? It can make you feel fuller more often, which is a good thing. So you're not picking up those chips and pretzels and cookies and crackers and donuts and cakes and all the rest of that trash. Okay? That's a good thing. And you see, water is great for your metabolism. Because water, it assists, it helps in flushing out fat from the body. And water can boost your body's energy spending and turn stored fat into fuel. How awesome is that? Getting the right amount of water relative to the proportions of your constitution. You need to see an acupuncturist. Because understand something. Health is wealth. The wealth isn't in an app on your phone or in the safe or in a bank or in a cryptocurrency account. The wealth, it's not in your pocket, your purse, or your wallet. And the wealth is not under the doghouse in the backyard. It's not in the shoebox in the closet, nor is it under your mattress. The wealth is in you. And this is why you listen to Acupuncture's My Life podcast. But many of you I hear, once you turn to water and you've gotten off the sugary drinks, carbonated drinks, and so forth and so on, you've noticed a change in how you feel mentally, physically, and even spiritually. And I get a lot of thanks from individuals over the app about this. I mean, water is the least expensive form of medicine on this planet. It's for everyone. It helps the human organism to function at its more optimal levels. And it keeps things in balance. But you have to keep in the back of your head, too much of anything is no good. You can't drink an entire ocean and say, hey, Dr. Lott said drink a lot of water. So I drank the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean or the Caribbean Sea or whatever, the Red Sea, and I should be good. No. And that statement doesn't pertain to all of you guys, but to many of you. It's tough to say don't take certain statements out of context. This is why in doing these podcasts relative to health, you have to be very careful. Because many individuals will ask me to discuss certain topics and delve deep into certain aspects of it, and I can't. Because there are those that may construe it the wrong way. But everything in moderation. More so good. Just try and avoid the bad, such as like alcohol, smoking, and recreational drugs, and things of that nature, and attempt to make acupuncture part of your life, okay? Because acupuncture is my life. What's yours?